Hi, this is Phil, Dirty Drive-away. It is 2021 and thank goodness 2020 is over. It's been a bit of a odd year to say the least. What with the current affairs, I know they're still going on, but hopefully, you know, light and tunnel and all that. Anyway, enough of that rubbish. Let's crack on with this. So we've got some new videos, and today we are out in the shed and it is bloody freezing out here, but it's my sort of quiet season. It's my time when I sort of strip things down, service stuff, maintain stuff, etc. So basically today we have, as you can see, a Whirl-away. As you know from some of my videos, it's not one of my go-to tools. I have used it more this the past year. I did break it out a few times, and yeah, they work okay. Yeah, they do struggle in certain circumstances, and to be honest, by the time I've faffed about setting the thing up, I do sometimes prefer to use a lance. Anyway, not to say, yeah, it's a good tool, and it's pretty quick if you've got under the right circumstances. They do tend to suffer with heavy weeds and moss, but if you've got a straightforward clean, they can save you a lot of time. So basically, I'm going to do a couple of videos, and this one is going to be on a setup of the Whirl-aways. I do get asked, quite a few people ask me about setting them up, because sometimes they're not set right for your machine, and some people have said to me it doesn't work, or they try and run it on full throttle and it just doesn't work. The machine keeps cutting in and out. So basically it's a pressure issue. Depending upon where you buy these from, this is an 18-inch version. It's one of the more popular versions. This is the pre-2015. They have changed them slightly. I think the handles are slightly different, but predominantly it is the same base unit that you can see in front of you. And yeah, so if you buy them, depending upon what kind of what dealer you buy them from, if they're a reputable company, they will ask you when you make the purchase the spec of your machine, so i.e. the pressure and flow rate, so they can jet it accordingly. Now, out of the box, if you buy these, you know, you buy one online and then they basically, they box it, ship it to you, you will normally find that it is not jetted accordingly. They bung standard jets in, ship them out, and keep the fingers crossed that it works for you. So you may find that when you chucked it in, you may not be able to run it on full power, which is going to be a jetting issue. Out of the crate, they come with 25 degree 025 jets. So if your machine takes a 05 standard nozzle, this will work perfectly fine for you. Obviously, if you've got a higher spec machine like mine, and I run an 065 nozzle, so I think even the 200 bar 21 litre GX390 engines, they take an 065 nozzle as well. Out of the box, this will not work. You could run it up to probably just over 3/4 throttle, and then you will find it will just start to it will just cut out. The unloader would normally kick in because the nozzle jets are not big enough. So the first thing you need to check when you buy these new is that you've got it jetted for your machine. If not, get back in touch with the company you bought it from and get them to send you the right jets. Another little trick you can do, because these are supplied with 25 degree jets as standard, you can actually boost the performance of these by switching them out to 15 degree. They're just straight run-of-the-mill 1/4 inch BSP threaded jets. You can pick them up anywhere. You can pick them up on eBay or wherever you like. Anywhere that sells your nozzle jets, you can get these. You can switch them out for 15 degree. Now, because the standard's 25 degree, by narrowing it down slightly to 15 degree, you get more pressure. You get a slightly less contact area, but over the difference between that 10 degree on your contact area is not detrimental. But what you will gain in the added performance, so the actual pressure hitting the floor, you will get a much better performance by using 15 degree jets over the 25. I've been running 15 degree jets now for a couple of years, and it does make a massive difference when you've got a driveway or an area that just needs a little bit more oomph. If you've got a few weeds, this, by switching to the 15s, this will help. So basically in this video what we're going to do is go through a little bit of the basic setup. I mean, they should be pretty much okay out of the box. But if you're doing any kind of maintenance or anything like that, You may need to readjust if you've changed your wheels. The casters on these are absolutely shocking. The standard plastic casters, the wheels, they are shit. They will last you about 6 months before they go. The ones on here I've replaced previously. Again, they're not overly great. They're just standard kind of plastic casters. You don't get much choice, unfortunately, with these because they do only have a certain size thread on the bolts that go through them. You can upgrade to Blickle wheels, which are these ones here, which I will be doing this time round. These are rubber coated wheels. They're still plastic inners, but they've got the rubber outside, so it's a little bit more comfortable to use, not quite as bouncy. But yeah, the standard wheels, the plastic wheels, are absolutely shocking. They will not last you hardly any time at all. It starts to get a bit rattly, as you can hear. It gets notchy and bouncy. Basically, the little sleeve inside the wheel, say these Blickle wheels are the same. You can just see there's like a little sleeve that goes inside the wheel. They just round out, and the hole here gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then eventually it just makes, you know, horrid noises, and it just becomes very notchy and horrible to use. So basically you have to keep changing out your wheels, and I can basically, if I can show you, try and show you what I mean if I can get down here. You see these wheels, they are wobbly, they are horrid, absolutely shocking. Obviously the conditions that you're using these things in is not ideal. You know, you are dealing with block paved driveways, a lot of grit, a lot of muck. Unfortunately, nothing is going to last too long, just because of the way it's being used. So what I'm going to be doing in here, I'm going to be changing the wheels out, and I'm going to be showing you how to adjust the rotor height, the arm. The factory setting, they say you should be a minimum of 1 inch from the floor. You don't really want to start messing too much with it. If you go too high, you're going to lose your performance. So you want to keep it at that magic 1 inch. So you keep your rotor arm 1 inch from the ground. Obviously, if you change the wheels, you may be adjusting the deck height, you may be adjusting the rotor arm height. So I'm going to be showing you how you can basically reset, quite straightforwardly, reset the rotor arm height from the floor. And also your deck height. You do your deck height from the wheels, and your rotor arm you do from the little screw. There's a little Allen screw in here, and that will lift this arm up and down. You get your magic 1 inch. So what I'm going to do is, my first job for today is I'm going to switch over to these Blickle wheels, because they are shocking. When I get them off, I will show you what I mean. Basically, what you can do with these to make it a little bit easier is the actual inner sleeve normally just sits quite loose inside here, and it kind of floats about. And what people tend to do is when they get new wheels, or even from the factory sometimes like these, they tighten these up, and they tighten them up a little bit too tight, and what it does is it actually starts to pinch on the sleeve inside, and when it pinches the sleeve, you are then relying on the plastic wheel to spin on the sleeve, which obviously plastic is going to wear out a damn sight faster. So what you can do is these little sleeves in here, you can actually just glue them in with a little bit of super glue or whatever. It just helps to extend the life, and let the sleeve run on the bolt. Don't let the wheel run on the sleeve, because you're just going to wear through it so fast. So bear with me 1 second. So where you have the bolt, I mean, you could switch these out for stainless if you wanted to. These are just bog standard zinc plated steel. So when you have the bolt, don't nip them up so tight. Just nip them up enough that the wheel is spinning on the sleeve. Okay, and not pinching it up so that it's pinching on the sleeve and the wheel is running on the sleeve. Because plastic and metal's going to win. It will elongate the holes. It will make the holes bigger and bigger and bigger, and then they end up looking and sounding like those crap ones on the floor. So by gluing them, it gives you a little bit of longevity. Not saying the super glue is going to last forever, but it will help give you a little bit of extra lifespan and make the machine a little more comfortable to use. My other video that I'm going to be doing is going to be a strip down of the rotor head assembly. I managed to, you can buy service kits for them, but I managed to get a brand new rotor assembly dirt cheap The company was selling these really cheap. I mean, these are normally around about 300 quid if you can find, anywhere between 200 and 300 quid for a complete rotor assembly. I managed to get this brand new for 110 quid. So it's actually cheaper for me to replace this entire unit than it was to buy a service kit for the head. Anyway, that's another video. So we're going to be doing this first. So first of all, I'm not going to show you the process of removing the wheels. It's quite a straightforward process. These wheels are the 75 by 25 wheels. They come complete with all the casters and stuff. So I'm going to switch these over now, and then I'll be back shortly once it's all done. It's quite a straightforward process. It's not that hard to do. So yeah, back in a while. Right, job done. So yeah, switched out those old naff wheels. As you can see, these new Blicker wheels, nice and smooth. That's what I like, a bit of smoothness. I don't know how long they're going to last, but got to be better than anything. These are the old wheels, and you can see the way that the inner sleeve just elongates the hole and just rounds it out. So that's why you get that loads and loads of movement in there. And to be fair, these sleeves they're so thin. I mean, you could probably squash that with your finger. They're just, there's only one place these are worthy of, and that's the dustbin. In they go. So yeah, so we've done that. You don't get much room for height on these. I mean, you can lift the wheels up a bit. They're on these Blicker wheels. You've probably got about 3/4 of an inch of adjustment down here. But if you've got the wheels on and you've got them right to the bottom, you've got two nuts. You've got one on the top, one on the bottom. If you put them in as they should be, you get roughly the right kind of deck height anyway. You don't want the deck being on the ground because obviously it will run the risk of scraping. You don't want it too high. You want to be able to kind of get your finger underneath it, really, underneath the bottom. If you can get your fingers around it, that should be enough to at least then evacuate the water that's obviously created and get rid of some of the muck from underneath. You don't want the deck so high because then obviously when you get your 1 inch clearance for your rotor arm, if you've got too much clearance on the bottom, you will find then that the rotor arm could stick out the bottom of the machine, which you don't want. You want the rotor arm to be sort of nicely within the skirt of the Whirl-away. So basically the magic number was 1 inch, which is basically your nozzles 1 inch from the floor. You can have it slightly less if you want, but obviously the further away you go, the less performance you're going to get. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to readjust the angle of the camera and get you a little bit closer down towards the ground so we can get a better view. Alright, so maybe a little bit too close for this, but you should get a nice view. Anyway, so what we're going to do is set the rotor arm height from the floor. To do that is very simple operation. You will need a 6mm Allen key, just a standard 6mm Allen, and if we spin this around you will see the Allen bolt right here. Once you've cracked that off, the rotor arm will move up and down and you can adjust the height. So obviously you're probably asking, how do I get the height set if the rotor arm is underneath the Whirl-away? I mean, obviously you can try and guess it. What you're going to want to do is, they're notoriously hard to work on these because they just want to go wherever they want. So there's the bottom of the Whirl-away. You've got your nozzles again. Like I said, these are 15-degree nozzles. The other thing you want to make sure is your nozzles are in line with the arm, and that's the way it works. These have got a slight twist on them. They're on a slight angle, so that when the machine is spinning, the pressure from this makes this spin. If these nozzles are not in line, it's not going to work very well. It's not going to spin up. So different nozzles have different heights, so you need to measure the nozzle. So what you want to do is measure the distance. You've got flat square edges on here, so you've got one in the center and there's obviously two squares on the edge. So if you measure the distance from the top of the square to the top of your nozzle, that will give you the distance, and you're going to want to be 1 inch from here. So you can use a tape measure, whatever you've got. I've got a digital caliper here. So if I measure my distance, I get, let's roughly 27 on that. Yeah, I'm getting roughly, I don't know if you can see it, no you probably can't, it's 27 mil, which is the distance will be from the bottom of that square piece to the tip of the nozzle. So if you want 1 inch, you need to get your inch, and an inch is roughly 25 centimetres. It's not 25 centimetres, 2.5 centimetres, 25 millimetres. So add on your 27 or whatever the distance is from here, and that will give you your number of how far you need to be away from the centre point of here. So what I basically found the easiest way to do, what I've used Duplo bricks, because this gives you almost the exact height that you need. If you've got your 27 on there, you need an additional 25 on there. So that gives you roughly 53 millimeters. My maths is not that good, but yeah, top of my head, 53. And if you do the 2.5 Duplo bricks, I've got 52.29. And basically, all you would do up to the end is affix it to the center. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fix that now for you rather than showing you. I'll use a couple of cable ties. That's the best method there. And just like that, 2 Duplo blocks appear zip tied to my rotor arm. So yeah, so the magic number for this is 52 millimeters away from the central point, and that there is pretty much bang on. Give a mil or two. A mil or two is not going to make any difference whatsoever. So now you have that, you will know that once that is once you've got this back in its natural position, and then you undo that Allen bolt underneath, when that's rested down, you will know your nozzles are then 1 inch from the surface. So what we do now, simply just turn it over, just do it gently. And you can see it's not touching the floor at the moment, obviously because the new wheel's slightly different. Let's see how far this drops down. Maybe a bit stiff. It's not been out there a lot. So that's nice and loose. If you pull it out too far, you'll find the head will come straight out. So get the head in, just wiggle it down until those Duplo blocks hit the floor. Once they hit the floor and it doesn't go any further, you know that is 1 inch from the ground. So then you basically just do your Allen key back up again, snug it up, and that's it. That is the rotor arm set 1 inch from the floor. So if you have the rotor arm, you can probably just feel it underneath there. It is just able to spin, and that's it. It's as simple as that. That's how you set the rotor arm height from the floor. Well, that's pretty much it for this video. I mean, that was all I was going to show, was the setting up. You can see from my Whirl-away that I actually have mine broken down. I have everything separated, the base, the handle, everything separates down. It's all quick release, so I can basically find room for it in the van. So yeah, my next video is going to be on taking the head apart, the head unit that you can see. I'm going to strip that down. There's only a couple of bearings and a few seals in there. Unless yours is really bad, even just routine maintenance, just switching out a couple of the bearings. They're quite bog standard bearings. You can just replace the bearings in them. You can normally tell if you turn your whirly over. There's a little bit of movement in this now, which is probably just the bearings wearing. I've not done any maintenance to this whatsoever, apart from putting a bit of grease in it, which is what most people forget to do, grease them up. So I'll be changing out the head unit, and then when I strip the other one down, I'll probably just rebuild that. But yeah, they have grease nipples on these. Most people don't grease them, hence the reason why they wear out. Right, that's all from me. I hope you found that video informative, and yeah, hopefully might be a few more videos coming out this year. Bit of a difficult one last year. Just wanted to crack on. I had a backlog of work because of the virus, the lockdown, all that kind of rubbish. So I just wanted to crack on with the work. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll get some new content coming out this year. Get some decking stuff doing. I've got some deck strip jobs booked in. So yeah, hopefully a nice busy year. So yes, that's it for me. Happy cleaning. Bye for now.